All right, so we have Andy, and we also have James Webb here.
Good to be back.
Welcome back.
Great to be here. Representing Sport 69, starting number 4 in the gold today.
Yeah, you excited? Yesterday was such a good race.
I am.
I think today's going to be even better. I think with a little smoother wind out there, I think it's going to be nice.
Yeah, have you heard anyone on the course give a report as to what the bumps are like?
I haven't talked to those guys yet, no.
Yeah, it's looking smooth. I mean, this layer right there, definitely some different conditions than yesterday. It'll be fun to see Joe Carraggio and Tim Slater battle it out. Although I'm not sure Tim's going to be able to.
I don't know if Tim's got enough in it today.
Yeah, I don't
see if he
think
turns
so.
the RPM up or tries to go a little faster.
We'll see what the good races are going to be. Kevin Eldridge taking Doug Glover. That'll be
Yeah, I think he was able to work around him yesterday, so we'll see what he can do today. So, yeah, I think that'll be a good battle. And then D was able to get next to Chris in the last heat, and they're bumped up to the silver for this one. So we'll see if D can work his way past Chris again or if he can hold him off. So
yeah, that'll be another great repeat of a race to watch. So another race within a race there.
But lots of glass airs in this one. Only more glass airs than lance airs in this one.
That is interesting, including one that I believe uses water to cool his engine.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which we laugh because everything else is air-cooled, but P-51 Mustang,
It
worked on that airplane.
Yeah, my engine at Race Power is pretty much water-cooled. I just throw it all away. I don't ever keep it. But yeah, it's amazing technology in that. So that water-cooled engine, speaking of Kevin's engine, it's been in development for I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 years. Andy Higgs developed that, and they've been doing so much work to try to get that technology there. So that's what's amazing about the sport classes. We're able to try new technologies, able to push things, see what's out there. And my background was engine development, so hats off to Andy and Kevin for getting that engine here, getting it out in airplanes. It's so much work to do that. So last year at Reno was the first year they finally got it, did a whole race. Huge accomplishment for those guys. But yeah, Kevin's been working on that package. I think he's on kind of Rev 2 or 3 of the cooling system on that, trying to work through what size radiator, what size fan he needs for ground ops and things like that. How the oil cooler interfaces with your water cooling. So yeah, huge amount of work, huge effort on that. And Kevin actually took that engine and put it in Jim Russ's old airplane. So Jim and Robbie Grove built an amazing airplane that's got the new gear system in it. Everybody complains about the glass air gear. We always give Tim crap for that, but Robbie and Jim put an amazing gear system in it, and Jeff actually put that same gear system in his airplane. Jeff Lavelle did to get it.
Judging by the YouTube video of his Mayday, the gear was stressed a little bit on the landing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got to have that confidence when you have to land right now that gear is going to come down. So yeah, good job getting that thing working.
And not to really compare the work that we put in my airplane to some of the work that everyone puts in, but we started a project about 4 months ago to supercharge the airplane, Sport 69's Lancer Legacy, and just like everybody, we were compressed for time, compressed for money, but we got it done. And I know, you've been essential in making the fine-tuning of that, but yesterday we were able to put some water nozzles on a couple of the cylinders, and it moved some water around, and so we were able to run just under 41 inches of manifold pressure for the full race.
That's great.
And keep the engine cool, so we're super happy about that.
That's good. What compression ratio do you got in that engine?
We're at 8.7 to 1
on the stock
compression. The previous installation of the supercharger, a lot of the information on the technical details and what saved us a lot of time, because if this were a from scratch project, we wouldn't have been able to execute. But George Catalano, who's flying race 77, had a lot of experience with this particular supercharger installation.
And I think his had 10 to 1s in it.
That was the biggest difference.
It was really challenging for him to keep that thing cool with 10 to 1 pistons. So.
Yeah, so he's interestingly enough, what happened yesterday in the race is he was in front of me, not by a ton, but he had one Pylon cut, so I'm starting
you get to start
ahead
in front of him today.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be awesome. Yeah, that'll be a blast.
Exactly. So it's going to be an interesting race.
Yeah, they were working on their airplane this morning. They were in there making sure they turned the governor up a little bit. They had to take all the cowling off and stuff, and all that beautiful carbon fiber work that Andy Chiavetta did building 77. They were taking all that off there to adjust the governor, try to get a little more RPM. They wanted to make sure that he got by his old supercharger. It's like, you can't give your parts away and then get beat by him. Come on, George.
So it's going to be an interesting race. I mean, strategy-wise, I've been going back and forth between flying a line on the course that holds him off, or since we were at 298.3, I think it was yesterday, flying the tightest line I can to try to eke out that 300.
Just go fast.
So I think that speed is the goal here. So I'm going to fly my line, and if he manages to get around me, great. But he might not have the smash, the extra. What do you typically see in the mile per hour needed to get by someone at these speeds?
Yeah, so around the 300 mile an hour range, you need about 7 miles an hour of overtake to really complete a good clean pass. You're flying higher and wider lines, so that bigger geometry makes it a little harder to pass. So you need about 7 miles an hour to really cleanly execute a pass. So we'll see if George has that. If he gets a little more RPM out of that engine, he might have that, but we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yep, going to be some great racing.
Absolutely. Let's see, any other interesting battles coming up here in silver? We talked about Kevin and Doug.
Yep.
And
so
then,
lots of Lance Airs versus Glass Air battles. We were talking about in the previous race is that, there's so many different recipes of what we do, whether it's turbocharged, supercharged, nobody's running nitrous this year, but the nitrous stuff, 6-cylinder versus 4-cylinder, Lance Air versus Glass Air, fixed gear versus retractable gear. Mm-hmm. And a lot of guys will end up at the same speed with totally different recipes of how they get there, and makes for some great racing. And, the sport classes run what you brung, and we don't really have any rules, and we just keep it wide open of who can do what, and see how fast we can go.
Here's Pace, Bob Mills leading the flight off, followed by Joe Coraggio with a super clean. I was looking at the bottom of his wing with no flap hinges. It's a slick airplane. And then we have Tim Slater coming by.
All right, Tim, the gear came up. Tim did a ton of work over the last month getting that gear system to work. He had one of the trunnions was loose, and he had to remachine that, reflox it into the spar. Huge amount of work getting that thing to work, but glad to see it's here and everything's working good. There goes Kevin in the water-cooled engine.
There's Colleen there. So when I was racing last year, it looks like Chris.
Yep, Chris McMillan in the rocket.
In there.
Comes D Child in the Glass Air. And Bijan in his Glass Air. He just got some ported and polished cylinders from Lycon. Got 10-to-1 pistons in that thing, so he's ready to go chase him down, see if he can catch D.
I was saying in the previous iteration of my airplane, when it was normally aspirated, Colleen Sterling 52 and I were fairly close, but I still had her by a few miles an hour. I think I was running my engine about 150 RPM more than she was willing to run it, but we actually had some great racing in practice where we would trade positions. And
nice. What'd you think of the course? Like, what differences do you see from when we raced in Stead versus here? What do you like about the course? What differences do you see?
Initially, there's that the nerves factor of, oh my gosh, I have to find a whole bunch of new pylons. And you might have mentioned it previously, but they put a light out there. In fact, we could see it clearly from here out there on 5.
Yep.
And that made a ton of difference. So the first few times around the course, finding the pylons and getting that confidence that you're not going to have a brain freeze and cut something, because initially I remember first time around the course turning and it just looked like a desert landscape. Yep. And at the speeds we're doing, it's tough to see. But in terms of actually flying the course, I know my line around 1, 2, 3 is not perfect, because normally I was coming tight to 1, looking at 3, coming wide on 2, and coming around, trying to minimize the speed loss in that turn. So the first couple turns the first 180 degrees is definitely tighter, and same down at the other end of the course through 6 and 7. And I'm probably also losing some speed around 7, because the geometry there, I've got a rough idea of what I need to do. You aim at a stick out there, and then you try to execute a smooth pull around 7. But if you just aim towards the pylon, which I was doing the first few times around the course, and you go, oh, that's a pretty good pull around the corner. I was
10 knots, and you're
hitting
like, oh,
3G
no.
around. So it still needs some polishing there. But with the course, I really like. I could find the pylons. I love the speed around home, and the width of having, well, like yesterday in Bronx, being able to bring 5 airplanes
there's
wide
so much room out here.
was really awesome.
Yeah, I love coming around. When you come off of 6, it's kind of like 4 at Reno. When you come off of that, you start that descent, come by 7, and the valley of speed that we had in Reno is really like the home stretch here by Home Pylon in Las Cruces, and it makes for some great racing. Really easy to see everything. Nice wide spaces. Like you said, we're not getting pinched anywhere in the racetrack, so that makes it nice. And there's good visuals. I thought the same thing. When you come off of 5 out there, you aim for that. You got good visuals for that big spire out there, and then I kind of use that as kind of almost like a motocross analogy, riding the berm on that thing, and then that sets you up perfect for 6, and then you start dropping that altitude, come back down through the home stretch here. Makes for a really nice straightaway, and you can really get the speed building up.
It's funny thinking about racing again, because growing up, I was, of course, into cars and playing Gran Turismo and wanting to do all that, and then caught the aviation bug and went in a different direction from watching racing. But it takes me back to we used to go up to Laguna Seca every year and watch the sport cars drive around the track.
Going through the corkscrew.
Back to finding the right line and finding that groove. And if you get that same flow feeling when you're on the course and things are really dialed in. Yesterday, when I was feeling good, feeling the pylons, feeling my position, the plane's just running perfectly. And like I talked about earlier, that nervousness, that stress, not only of the course and the airplane. We've talked about it in the past. You provided some great mentorship about the psychological aspect of the pre-race routine, and I carried that to here. Calm the nerves, get in the zone. Once that engine's going and you're focused, and then you're on the course in that flow state, and then come off the course, I'm not going to lie, that feeling did put a tear in my eye.
It's awesome. There's nothing better than it. Yeah, you get that release of, I get chills talking about it too. All the dopamine and all those amazing chemicals that come out of that. You get in the flow state. Everything's in slow motion, and it's just. Everybody says we're adrenaline junkies, but it's chasing that flow state where, time stands still, and, you are one with the machine. You are anticipating, every turn, and you're looking so far ahead. At full tilt, we're doing 2 football fields a second, because it's hard to explain miles an hour to people. Everybody understands 100 miles an hour, but 300, 400, it's 2 football fields a second. So you have to be so far ahead of the airplane, so far ahead of the course, really predicting that. And then, the course changes every time we fly based on the winds, based on traffic, see what's going on out there. So you're always adjusting and doing that, but you have that mental program. You've visualized what the race is going to look like. You've watched video of it. You know what you're going to look for, and you've flown your airplane enough where you know what the airplane is going to do. So it's one of the best things to do is when everything's working and it happens. It's magical.
Let's see if we have eyes on our silver flight yet. That's great.
All right, coming around. Yeah, we were talking about the previous one. It's really nice on the coming around the backside and 90 degrees to the chute is you can still see the runway and everything. You're not trying to go around P-Vine. And
you're not getting beat
you're
up.
Not getting beat on P-Vine. Yeah, P-Vine was always so bumpy, and we were always so close to it because we'd be crunched for time trying to get back. And it always made it exciting. But this is a really nice entry to the course. Lots of options out there and good landmarks for getting everything lined up. There's an old World War II bombing area out here that we kind of use as a target to into the runway, and they got a really nice guide pylon lit up for guiding us down the chute.
Yesterday was my first start here in Gold, and the more races you fly, the more your situational awareness goes up. So I was definitely focused on 77 next to me, and that first turn in, where especially if that turn in is aggressive and adds some spacing there, George definitely checked that turn a little bit on me, and it's time to go.
Time to go, yeah.
But increasing that essay of planning where that turn in is can definitely reduce the spacing there.
Yep. Yeah, we call that the Lee Bill flick, when you just kind of wait for it and then go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Tom and you, I think, had a pretty nice smooth roll in, but George checked it. All right, here they come.
All right, Bob's got the smoke on, got the pace plane coming down. Looks like a nice line of brush formation. Bajan's got a really nice angle on the outside, so he doesn't have to turn at all. See if he can regain some of that.
A beautiful lineup. Is Bajan cheating out in front there a little bit?
It's like a really nice lineup.
Beautiful.
Look at that. Bam.
That is perfect. He's right on the money. Everyone in the right spot. And there goes Bob off. There goes Kevin High.
Look at Joe just extending that lead out. Man. So Joe has been working on that plane a ton this year. Him and Dave Anders built this beautiful tuned induction system for a 550. They already have a tuned induction from the factory, but they took it to a whole new level where they can actually adjust the runner length based on what RPM they run. And they built a big plenum, cleaned up the top of the engine. A ton of cooling drag got eliminated. They laid the oil cooler back, built a really nice plenum and all that, and it's paying dividends now. His airplane has been running really cool all week, and you can see out here it's even running fast.
To look like 7, Kevin Eldridge was high on that initial turn in there, and I thought I heard on the radio Colleen call him clear, so we'll see what the lineup is coming by.
Looks like Joe's out front. Looks like Tim's in second.
Yeah.
Doug Glover and Kevin chasing Glover down. Colleen working right around Chris McMullen, D. Child, and Bijan Malecki.
It'll be fun to see Colleen try to get around Chris here, because she should have the speed advantage. The question is she taking advantage of the geometry in order to accelerate that pass? In fact, you could see it on the backside as that slick airplane versus the fixed gear rocket of Chris McMillan. She's moving forwards, but Chris knows how to fly a tight line, and I am intimately familiar with that from last year, trying to hold him off. He actually passed me in the last race. So.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's a beautiful rocket. They did an amazing job on their install on that. It's got a 550 Continental in that thing and runs really nice. Here comes Joe coming wings level. Coming right down in front of the crowd.
Yeah. Tim doing his best to close the gap, but like you said, I don't think he has the speed today.
No.
And there's a pretty good speed differential between him and Doug. So we've got Doug Glover and 45 coming by home, and it looks like Kevin's Eldridge is pulling off. So perhaps something going on with that water-cooled engine we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it might just have something he doesn't like. It's not trailing any smoke or anything, so probably just something didn't quite look right, so he's just going to go check it out up high instead of down here low.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe's really stretching out that lead. Like you were saying, the no flap hinges on there. They went up to Innovative Wings up in Canada, and Shane Daly's shop modified that flap cove and put the got a track in it, so there's no flap hinges like the normal Fowler flaps. But where my plane does have this piano hinge, these actually do extend out and then come down. So really nice system that Shane Daly did up there. He also built that turbine Legacy that was at Oshkosh. Really nice builder. Yeah, Joe's really stretching it out. Tim is not going to be happy.
I bet he's having fun out there. He's not having to worry about the people around him, behind him, and he's figuring out this course, and this is all going into the archives for the future, because he can use this time to work on his line and to really memorize where the fast points on the course are and where he can take advantage. And here we have Colleen Sterling and Chris McMillan coming by. Colleen is next to Chris, but she's flying, as you can see, a wider line. And as they roll into that turn, as wide as she is, that speed advantage she has just went right away.
Yep.
So interesting watching her trying to get by.
Yeah, Chris had a perfect line around that. Just waited for it, and then he turned, like you said, and lost it. But
and
she
once
has
again,
a lot of speed. Here she comes.
Yeah, you can see that. So it's definitely interesting watching the two of them battle it out there. And Chris knows she's right there for sure, and he's doing everything to hold her off. And right when she gets close, they come up on another pylon, and the angles are just not working out. But I do think she has the speed advantage, and she's probably going to get him. And it looks like that just happened. Colleen Sterling passing Chris McMillan out there on pylon 5. But Chris still working the angles there. Again, flying that real tight line. So we'll see what the spacing is as they come by. Doug Glover coming by, running his own race as well.
Oh, man, Chris is holding on to it. Where did Colleen go?
What happened to Colleen? I think she somehow ended up
there goes
behind
Dee
Bijan.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there was a missed turn that may have sent her way wide, but she lost 2
positions.
Quite a few positions there.
Kevin's rolling out. Looks like he's all good. Probably just had a temperature issue he didn't want it to mess with up in the air.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what maybe Colleen was getting warm on her engine too and had to back the power down a little bit.
It's certainly possible. Joe just looking beautiful, enjoying the sights, coming by home. Probably doing right at that point. Probably 295 miles an hour, maybe even hitting 300 there with the wind.
Tim's glass there sounds really nice coming by.
Yeah.
Well, we got a three-way battle now, so he's gonna take another run at Chris. Can Dee catch up to him? He had a really good race with him in the last one. They were neck and neck the whole time, so we'll see if Dee can catch up. And
five airplanes pretty close to each other. A great race, and as we anticipated, Dee Child pretty close to McMillan there, but as we were seeing, he is flying a great line. I don't believe he has the smash to get past Chris.
I think they got one more lap. I don't know if they're going to be able to catch him. That's a long way to make up.
The question is, Colleen, is she going to be able to at least pass Bijan? But once again, I think the spacing's probably too much there. And whatever the mistake was or the engine issue was that brought her back, I'm sure she's going to be disappointed in that result. But right now we're watching Dee Child and Chris McMillan. Dee's definitely going to give it everything he has here.
Joe and Tim coming around. Oh, he's hanging. He's got some more altitude than he had last race. Maybe he's going to hang on to it. That's a great stack.
That
That's
is a
lots
great
altitude.
stack. Yeah. He's going to. But there's that sharp turn there where everything is so critical that the timing of that turn and that pull, look at that stack. Just beautiful.
Oh man,
Really
he's
a close
working the angle.
race
He might be
there,
able to
yeah.
get him at the last bit.
And it looks like Colleen is going to be able to get Bijan.
Yeah, and looks like
There.
Doug had to pull the power back.
Yeah,
Doug dropped back
He did.
5 spots.
So some interesting jockeying.
What's going on back here? Everybody pushing, trying to keep that oil temperature just right, and might have to
Certainly.
slow down a little bit.
When you see the numbers start flashing yellow and then red, you start twizzling some knobs. And here comes Joe taking the checkered flag, climbing into cool down.
Nice work,
Beautiful
Joe.
race.
That was good. Tim Slater coming in second. Tim's got a long winter ahead. He's going to go see if he can put some turbochargers on that thing and go fast.
Is that the plan, eh?
He's ready. He's got the bug. He wants to go a little bit faster. Oh, man. 3 more pylons. See what he can do it. He's got good altitude.
Going to be a close one. Look, it looks like Colleen has Bijan, but again, that angle at 7, that final turn to home, if Bijan flies that real tight line, I'm not sure that she'll have him across home. So 2 races stacked up.
5 airplanes all barreling down the home stretch.
Just
and tons
stunning.
of room. This is awesome
Here
racing.
we come to home pylon, and let's see.
Oh, man. Looks
Chris
like
McMillan
held
able
him
to
off.
hold.
Yeah. Nice.
And
Great racing. Oh, man. Look at all. They're all coming up.
wow,
What an awesome finish.
that was beautiful.
We're going to have
Hell.
to go to the timers on that one. They're going to have their hands full trying to score that one.
That was interesting. Doug Glover had a lot of
He had a
smash
lot of
coming
smash
by
right at the end, yeah.
So it does sound like maybe he pulled the power back and said, all right, I'm cooled, going to push it back up. So
That was a
great silver race.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was awesome. Well, looking forward to seeing you in about an hour. We'll go
Yeah, it's
run
time-
the gold race.
Time to get in the zone and
Yep.
run my race. So thanks, Andy.
Yep, good
Appreciate
chatting
it.
with you. Thanks,
Cool.
Brian, for having us.
That was amazing, guys. Thank you very much.